on, son.
Raphael on the track.
Come on, son. Come on, son. Come on, son.
All right.
I like the setup. This is nice.
This is a nice setup, man. It's the Come On Son, the podcast, man. Joining me in the studio right now is a young man that I'm really interested in knowing his whole backstory, man. You can hear him. You see him on Rickey Smiley for real. He got his own group out. Been doing hip hop for a long time. A hip hop purist, I like to call him.
Thank you, man.
All right, and is on Rickey Smiley's nationally syndicated show. My man Headkrack. You can always catch him on Dish Nation.
Yeah.
He's the glue that holds everything together.
That's
What's
what
up, my brother?
I hear that a lot, man.
You
Peace,
are the
man.
glue that holds everything together, man. How did it? When you grew up in the Bronx?
Yes.
How did a kid in the Bronx get into radio?
Basically, I grew up listening to a lot of radio.
Okay.
Now, like, you remember, like, what the landscape of New York City radio was back in the 80s.
Right.
You know, you had the Frankie Crockers, the DJ
Yeah,
Red
absolutely.
Alerts, Chuck Chill Out. You had WKCR. You had Stretch and Bobbito doing anything on the radio. So you wanted to just tap into any aspect of the culture that you could.
Okay.
And then I remember the first time I really noticed what a dope morning show was, and I'm not saying this because I'm on your show, but yo, I used to listen to you at Lisa and Dre.
Oh wow!
Because it was a
Crack, that's crazy.
no, bro, it was an extension of Yo MTV Raps,
Right.
which raised me.
Okay.
You know, like, I used to take the quickest route I could home just so I can get to the crib and watch Yo MTV Raps when it came on.
Oh, wow.
So when Yo MTV Raps jumps off of my TV screen, and now I got the same cats I grew up listening to who was feeding me hip-hop on TV,
Right.
feeding me not only hip-hop music in the morning, but dope concepts, parody songs.
Yeah.
Y'all was doing the roll call thing in the whole
Yeah,
nine.
absolutely.
And just talking
Big
that.
shout out to the Baker Boys, man. The Baker Boys had that popping, and Steve Smith, one of the greatest fucking program directors.
He's dope.
Radio minds, handed me and Dre that and said, y'all need to do with it. I like to say Nate Smith invented basketball, Jordan perfected it. So the Baker Boys invented that roll call and had it popping on the West Coast. We just brought it over here.
That's what's up.
Just made it crazy.
Nah, but like, I mean, I love the energy and I love the vibe that you guys were bringing. So, I eventually got in a little bit of trouble in New York, and I just felt it was best that I leave, and I ended up in Dallas. So,
Really?
yeah, so I ended up in Dallas because, like, everybody from New York that was on my side of the family, my pop's side and my mom's side, they was all moving to Dallas because they would move there, they would visit, and realize, hey, this is good living out
You was
here.
running the streets. When you running the streets, hey, Carl?
I was running the streets. I was like, and the last straw was I got arrested for hopping a turnstile.
Oh, wow.
And
That's so straight New York shit.
Yeah, yo, here's the thing. I was shopping my demo. Me and my homeboy Kenny Mahai. Big shout out to my man Kenny Mahai. He doing life right now. That's my boy though.
Damn.
Me and him was hopping. You know, we went downtown, shop our demos to all these different places. We went to like
Who you
Loud.
shopping into?
We went to Loud. We went to Payday. We went to Electro. We went to Atlantic. And like, we had one more stop to make. We could either hit Def Jam or we can go home.
Okay.
And I'm like, yo, let's make this run to Def Jam. And it was dope that we did because I met a dude named Monster Christie,
Okay.
who worked up at Def Jam in some capacity, and he like was managing the group I was with at the time. Like after that,
Okay.
And then he introduced us to another guy because he got sick, named Aaron Luciano. But anyway, so on the way back, we don't got no money, so we hopped the turnstile. One of them undercover, train dudes like came and popped us, and we're like in the train jail.
Right.
And that's my first time getting in real trouble in New York, and you hear all these horror stories about Spofford and
How
just
old are you at this time?
at this time I'm like, let's see, I'm not driving obviously, so let's just say I am 13, maybe 14,
Why wasn't your ass in school?
because it was summer.
Okay, all right.
It was summer. I had my whole day mapped out,
Right.
had it all figured out, got enough change out of the couch to get, train fare and pizza for the day. So I was good. So, so we got busted, and I was living with my grandmother at the time. And the last thing I ever wanted to do was disappoint my grandmother.
Right.
So I told her straight up lies, like, yeah, somebody stole my ID. That wasn't me who got arrested. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think I'm going to go to Texas and live with my mom for the following year. And I just never went back to New York because I felt like there was like a warrant out for my arrest in New York.
You never paid the ticket?
Never paid the ticket. I'm not even sure if I passed the second grade. You know, like, because like the second,
Might be a warrant out for you.
there might be a warrant for my arrest, and I may not have passed the second grade because I threw my report card off of the school bus. You know, PS 95. I threw it off of the bus on the way home, and then the same year I finished the second grade, we moved to Texas the first time.
Okay.
And like, yeah, he's supposed to be in the third grade. No one really did fact checking back then, and they just put me in. But like, I might be on some Adam Sandler shit. Might have to go through everything all over again.
Wow, that's crazy. So that's the first time you moved to Dallas. Then you came back to New York?
I came back to New York because I hated it. It was different. Because, you know, New York is a melting pot. They're not black people. They're not white people. They're black people. They're Italians. They're Irish people.
There's everybody.
There's blacks. There's Haitians. There's Jamaicans.
Yes, everybody.
You know, a little bit of everybody.
Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and don't you dare call a Dominican a Puerto Rican or vice versa. It's just, and don't call a Jamaican a Haitian, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and like, you know, and I'm realizing when I moved to Texas that the Puerto Ricans there are different, and actually
called Mexicans.
Exactly.
Right.
So
not Puerto Ricans.
I just wasn't feeling it. It was just slower, and I miss being around my dad. Cause like, you know, like it was like one of the things. Like my mom left my dad like in the middle of the night, and we were supposed to just go visit grandma, and that visit turned into me enrolling in school, and I'm like, I wasn't feeling that shit at all.
Okay.
So you know, so I spent most of my life jumping back and forth. But like that year I got arrested, it was like the last straw. I was like, yeah, I don't want to go to Spofford. I didn't know how the legal system worked. You know, and I was like, for a turnstile ticket. Like, but I didn't have the $50 to pay the ticket. I didn't want to ask my grandma because I didn't want to disappoint her. So I was like, you know, it's just best that I leave. So I left, and then I just worked really hard. When I got to Texas, I would enter these battles. There was people who were doing similar things to what you were doing on the radio, where people would call in and battle on the radio. And I'm calling, I'm smoking all these people. And then they started getting to the point where they started inviting me up to the station to like pick up my prizes. And like, yo, you want to do a little freestyle in there? I'm like, yeah, sure. Or like, hey, like, what's going on in hip hop? Because they knew I was in high school and plugged in at the time. Right. So eventually I met the people who would eventually play a part in getting me on the radio. So it just all started
who
from
were
that.
those people, man?
There was a girl by the name of Marie Kelly, a woman rather, named Marie Kelly. She used to work for a station called K104. Okay. But even before that, cats like Russ Parr, I would just run into him in weird places, like at the mall, and he would just talk to me out of like, for whatever reason, like he just saw something in me. He was like, yo, I'm gonna go talk to him. And then I would talk back to, you know, we would like have a dialogue. And he's like, yo, you should come up to the station one day. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm still like in high school. I'm like in the 11th grade at this point in time.
Oh, wow.
And just eventually the station that they was on, which was 100.3 Jams, went away. All that was left was K104. So I started working for a record company because I interned at the community college I went to, and I got a job interning at Polygram at the time. Okay. So I just bust my ass, was doing the mail outs, was hitting the streets, you know, and being from New York, I was familiar with guerrilla style marketing. Right. Which a lot of people in Dallas, they wasn't up on that. So I'm stacking the poster boards up high. I'm like littering everything with stickers or whatever thing we're promoting.
For what group?
Everybody. Let's see. First projects I was working was a lot of stuff that was on Def Jam. They had this big Month of the Man campaign.
Yeah, Method Man,
Red Man.
Right.
Also, later on down the road, 702 came out on Motown, so I was helping work the Stilo project, How to Be a Player soundtrack. I guess Drew Hill's album at the time, that was like a thing. Terrell Hicks, who was signed to Motown, she was in Bronx Tale. Belly, yup. Yes, indeed. And then the Boys II Men album that didn't do well, the one that was after the one that was a smash. Right. So I was like, you know, just grinding and hustling. They gave me a job working for Motown after that. In Dallas. In Dallas.
In what capacity?
I was the assistant to the regional promotions person.
Who's the regional promotions?
Her name was Shannon Henderson. So she would deal with the major stations. I dealt with the college and secondary stations. Okay. And I was very hands-on, making phone calls, creating flyers, doing mail-outs and the whole nine. So I just grinded and grinded and grinded. So I got to meet a lot of people in the process. Okay. So when, you know, fast forward a couple years, few jobs have came and gone, 97.9 The Beat in Dallas came together. And me and my man Keno was like, yo, I want to work there. And he's like, yeah, me too. So we went to the studio the next day. We put together a tape, like we had a night show, and this is what it sounds like. And we thought we was going to get the overnight joint. Like, yeah, maybe we'll work, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Right. It's like, no, we want you to have the 6 to 10 p.m. show.
Oh, shit.
And it was like me, him, and my man Super K, and we was just wilding out. And like, not having any radio experience, but just being three dudes from the street who love hip hop and wasn't afraid to say anything. Right. Our program director gave us mad freedom. He's like, yo,
who's your PD?
Daryl Johnson.
Okay.
Who used to be the PD at Hot 107.9 in Atlanta. Yes. He was a young gun. you know, who had the keys to the castle. So they sent them away from Hot to like start the new station in Dallas.
Okay.
And his philosophy on radio was like, yo, if you guys hear something in the streets you like, you bring it to work, you clean it up, you play it.
Oh, wow.
None of this politics stuff that goes on now in radio.
Right.
They really gave us the freedom because they knew we was about the culture and we weren't corruptible.
Right.
You weren't paying us to play records. You weren't buying us sneakers to play records. We either rocked with the music or we didn't.
Right.
Sometimes we would play music that was bad on purpose just so we can like giggle and laugh at it. Now, some of this bad music is what passes as good music.
Yeah, you ain't lying, man.
Like I remember like back in the days, like, you know, no slight to anybody, but like when like No Limit was like popping, I hated that shit. I hated it all.
Right.
But now that shit sounds marvelous. I will take some Beats by the Pound production
Anytime.
and some Silk the Shocker sound like fabulous now.
You always been rhyming. How did were you starting to get paid when you was on the radio station?
No, it was weird. A lot of people would be like, you're on the radio. You could pull a Ludacris and do your thing. But no, not exactly, because I was in Dallas rapping differently than everybody in Dallas at the time. Like, you know, Dallas isn't a music town, for one. It's a sports town.
Okay.
If you ain't throwing a ball and catching it, no one cares.
Okay.
So you could be the nicest MC in Dallas and you'll only be known in Dallas.
Okay.
There's records in Dallas that don't even escape outside of
So Dallas and Houston is totally different.
Totally different. And there's records that like exist there that are huge monster hits that you'll never hear outside of like maybe Oklahoma, Louisiana.
Okay.
But the artists that make those records can sustain themselves being there.
Okay.
So it's really interesting. So, you know, I would get the opportunities to go on tours like the Warp Tour, but this is me like banking my vacation time at work to use it to go on these tours. So there was a lot of opportunities I missed, but there was also some cool opportunities I got to go on. Like I got to go overseas like 4 times and rock heavy shows with like dope people. Some of the tours was just us, like me and my crew.
Right.
And other tours was like us and Souls of Mischief. This group out of Brooklyn called Tanya Morgan.
Right.
We went on the road with them and some other people. So, you know, radio helps because it's a great promotional tool, but then sometimes people want you to go on the road to do things that you can't be away from radio too long to do.
Yeah. When did your show, your 6 to 10 show with the guys stop?
Around it gets blurry, man, but I think it was like around 2005, 2004-ish. They took me from the night show and put me with Rick because they, you know, Steve Harvey had left the company temporarily and they needed to build this new morning show. So they took me, put me with Rick. We added Rock Teed and Gary with the Teed and like, you know, a plethora of different female hosts.
So when you first got there, who was there?
It was like literally me, Ricky, and a Spanish girl named Carmen Contreras.
Okay.
And it was ill because I always heard Ricky's name, but I didn't know him. You know, because like when his Comic View run was popping, I'm doing nights. I'm not watching BT. I'm like I'm working while Comic View is on.
Right.
So I missed that whole wave. I didn't really catch the prank phone calls. I just knew his name.
Okay.
Yeah, I just knew his name. Like I heard of him. Oh yeah, the way we do it. I saw the commercials. You know, but other than that, I wasn't like ultra familiar.
Right.
I didn't even know he was on Friday.
But you working from 6 to 10, and now your ass got to get up and do morning radio.
But here's the thing, though. Now, anybody who has a job that they work 6 days a week will appreciate the moment you get a job that you only have to do 5 days a week.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think I'm probably the only dude that has ever worked afternoon radio that didn't have to do weekends.
God bless your life.
I was like, I'm not. They already knew it when I was at Power and they brought on Star Buck Wild and they moved me to afternoons. I told them, I said, I'll take it. I'm not doing no weekends. Everybody else had to do weekends.
You got to put your foot down somewhere.
I'm not doing no, because I'm morning radio. I don't do no fucking weekends.
And it's almost oppressive.
Part-timers. Why am I working radio you got part-timers for?
Yeah, and you've accrued the legendary status that allows that too.
I was not doing that shit.
And that was my thing is like, like we work 6 days a week.
What happened to the other guys?
So Keto and Super K continued to do the night show and continued to kick ass. But then
when you're doing the night show, you're on the board?
I'm on the board. I'm also talking, and in that particular version of the show, I mean, I guess like still now, like I was the straight man on the show. Like Keto and Super K were crazy, and I'm the guy who would like just say the slick stuff and like keep everything grounded and bring it right down the middle.
And keep it moving forward.
Yeah, which is almost my role sometimes on the Rickey Smiley Morning Show, but then sometimes I don't get enough sleep and I literally say whatever I think. and just go for it. Just depends when you catch me.
Okay.
I think later on I'm gonna find out that I'm bipolar. Right. But as of right now, I don't think I am.
Okay, so you start working with Ricky, the Spanish girl, and it's just y'all three.
Just us three.
Okay.
Yeah.
And y'all building it, and then later on you add Rock T for sports. And
Yep,
when
yep.
did Gary come in?
Gary came in, I want to say within that first year. Like, you know, he was doing a T segment like maybe once a week, and then it started getting popular because people love entertainment news and gossip.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we went through a whole bunch of producers in the beginning that, you know, they were still trying to figure out how to make the show work. And anytime you're building a new car or building something new that doesn't exist, there's a lot of growing pains that come with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, like, you know, I wasn't doing hip-hop news. I don't even know what the hell I was doing in the beginning. There was a lot of times like I'm bored. Like, yo, why am I here?
Okay.
You know, and then eventually...
Are them two just talking, Ricky and
Nah, I'm talking too, but we still just trying to figure out everybody vibe. Because, like, you know, Ricky's super South Birmingham.
Right.
I'm super New York with a different type of sensibility, and Carmen Contreras would speak Spanish sometimes.
Okay.
You know, so it's like, okay, like I'm trying to figure out where do I fit in all this, because
Right.
it's a new puzzle and you're trying to fit the square and the circle and the triangle and the octagon.
Was there ever a time you just wanted to walk away from it, period?
I mean, yes. You know, I mean, like complete transparency, because radio sometimes can be a thankless job. And you know this and understand this, because
especially once you've been fired, you understand the shit.
and I've been fortunate
Right.
to literally have been with the same company my entire radio
Yeah,
career.
you're very lucky.
And because, like, you hear these nightmare stories
Yes,
about
sir.
people. It's like, yeah, I was doing overnights in Talladega, and then, you know, they bounced
Yeah,
me over
they
there.
bounce all over the fucking place.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, I've been fortunate enough to really be able to rock the way I wanted to rock.
How long
and
did
do.
you stay with them? I mean, you still with Rickey Smiley
Mm-hmm.
now, but how long were you guys in Dallas before you came to Atlanta?
Let's say if we started doing the morning show 2005, we came to Dallas. We came to Atlanta in November 2009.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about 4 years.
4 years.
Okay.
Because we started picking up all these other affiliates, and they felt that, yo, in order to really like rock the spot in Atlanta, you got to be there. You got to touch the people. And plus, this is where everybody's at.
Yes.
And when we came here, I was just blown away by all the people that are here.
Right.
It's like, you trying to tell me Nas live here?
Right.
Raekwon live here?
Right.
Like, I just saw, CeeLo and all these other people. So it was amazing. It was mind-blowing.
Yeah. And it was, and this is a huge conduit for talent.
Absolutely.
Everybody comes to Atlanta.
Yes.
Atlanta's a stop. How was that with Dallas? It wasn't like that?
Dallas was cool because, like, the cost of living was cheap, but it just wasn't a super duper entertainment town at the time.
Exactly.
Great place to raise kids, great schools, a lot of genuinely nice people. You could throw a rock in any direction and hit a restaurant, which was dope.
Right.
But far as the things I was into, things I was passionate about, a lot of it wasn't there, but I was complacent because I've lived there for so long and I knew so many people.
Right.
Literally almost all of my siblings have now moved from New York to Dallas. Because,
wow.
Because it's
How many of y'all are there?
I always have to count out loud because like
Is it that many?
I got a brother I just met 10 years ago.
Okay.
Dead ass. Let's see. Me, Jocelyn, Nico, Naja, Marcus, Crystal, Zachary, James. I feel like I'm missing somebody. So there's
That's a lot of
eight,
kids.
There's like 8 of us. 8 of
Yeah,
us.
that's a lot of
eight of us,
motherfuckers.
maybe not.
But okay, so at the time that you moved from Dallas to Atlanta, are you a dad already?
I'm a dad already. Yeah, because I had my first son young.
How old were you, Crack?
21.
Okay, I got you beat. I had my first kid at 20.
That's what's up. But cool. Great space race.
It's kind of cool now when you get older because you're that close to your kids in age, y'all can still relate.
The relatability factors is really
Yes.
dope. And now he's at that age where, he's that awkward teenager that just comes home from school and just goes in his room and plays NBA 2K18 until...
So that's your only one, your son?
No, I got 3.
Oh, wow.
I got 3 altogether. I got 17, 3, and 5.
Okay, so you got a little one.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So you only got your son when you moved to Atlanta?
Nah, I had my son since he was 3.
Okay. But, I mean, that's the only one that's born at the time you moved to Atlanta, or you already had your other
That was the only one that was born at the time. Yeah.
So you moved to Atlanta. What kind of culture shock is that for you coming from Dallas?
Not really a big one per se, because I'm used to New York.
Right.
Like, Atlanta is New York with more helpful people.
You're absolutely right.
To some degree.
Yes, it is.
You know?
Smaller, more helpful people.
Right, easier to get
Yeah.
around, and you don't have to shovel snow as much.
Yeah.
But, you get a lot of the amenities that you get in New York, but way bigger houses.
Yes.
Like
for less money.
people in New York are getting pocket raped, and they don't even know it because they're
Yeah.
afraid to leave the 5 boroughs.
Yeah. They are getting absolutely super super raped. How long have you been with Rickey now?
Let's go 10 years, 11 years. 11 years. Sounds about right.
You still do your hip hop thing. What's your group right now?
I got a couple things cooking, man. I always keep myself busy. So I just signed a solo deal.
Oh, crack. Good, brother.
With Empire.
Congratulations.
Thank you
bro.
so much.
That's dope.
Just signed a solo deal with Empire. I'm hoping to have an album out. We've been, I don't want to say the month, but within the next 5-6 months. But the singles is coming. Like, I'm literally hopping on a plane tomorrow to go shoot a video.
Okay.
I got some dope people on the album already. There's a couple Hail Marys I'm throwing to get a couple people that I want on there.
All right.
And it's coming together pretty nicely. I'm proud of it. We did a soft little listening session, more like a focus group about a month ago. And the feedback from that was great.
That's dope.
So once I add these little bells and whistles, I think that's gonna really help that go. As far as my group goes, the Bodega Brothers,
right? We
actually, and you're a hip hop guy, so I'm sure you can identify. You ever heard of Madlib?
Yeah, of course.
You know his brother Oh No?
Yeah.
Oh No produced the entire next Bodega Brothers album.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate what you're doing with the Bodega Brothers to Headkrack solo?
Headkrack solo may actually get on the radio. but not in a way where I'm like playing myself singing an auto-tune. Like, I just did a record with Lil Yachty. Nothing like that.
Right.
But I'm making records.
Nothing against Yachty. God bless him.
Yachty, you know what? When I interviewed Yachty, I walked out of there with so much respect for Lil Yachty. Like, I respect him. Like, he has confronted anybody and anything who's ever said anything about him, but he did it respectfully.
Right.
Like, not on no rah-rah. So I got so much respect for Lil Yachty. But you know how sometimes people I'm going to get whoever's hot just to make my album dope and make a single. Like, no. Like,
no, that's not you.
I did records with people I like.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I got a song with Method Man.
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm saying? I got a record with Greg Nice, but I actually sacrificed that record and put it on the last Bodega Brothers project.
Okay.
But you know, my records, they just have a different vibe to it. It's more personal, has more of a different kind of soul. Bodega Brothers records is more of like that rambunctious energy of, imagine every dope group that you liked from the 90s, but if they were still making music now.
Right.
A lot of people compare us to a mashup of if the Beastie Boys and Tribe Called Quest had a baby, or if like Run DMC and no one said Run DMC, that's just me. But we get a lot of Beastie Boys comparisons because of our show energy.
Okay.
But lyrically, I hear a lot of things. Like, people described our last album as if Midnight Marauders had a baby with Straight Outta Compton.
Okay.
You know, so it has an attitude, but yet it's very hip-hop and has a lot of heart to it.
Yeah. So it's just straight hard beats and whatever the fuck you guys are feeling.
Hard beats, whatever we feeling at the time. And we really draw from a lot of personal issues, man. Especially, like, you know, if anybody wants to go do the research, our last album, Loaded Guns and Alcohol, like, we were writing that album during the worst times of our lives. Like, our grandmother just died.
Right.
I mean, my grandmother just died. Keynote's sister just died. Travi's mother just died. I just got dragged away from the house I just bought in Dallas to move to Atlanta.
Right.
And just everybody's lives were changing. So it was a dope snapshot on what we were going through at the time.
Right.
And I think it really created a dope album. I just wish I had a better marketing strategy to get the music in more ears. Like, we always perform well at college radio, but we didn't have the money really to work it on terrestrial radio the way we should.
How aggravating is that, bro?
It's very aggravating because I don't sell dope, and I don't publicly acknowledge the people I know that do, and you know, and we try to play a fair game. And with this new album and with the new people that are kind of backing us with this new Bodega album, we're in a little bit better position to compete.
Okay.
Because there's some people that are working on
Because I know you really love hip-hop.
A lot.
And I've seen the Bodega Brothers, and I know how serious you are about your music outside of what you do on Dish Nation and Rickey Smiley in the Morning. I know that's your outlet and your passion. And I see it in your eyes, and you know, you and I talk hip hop all day, fucking every day when we have an opportunity to. Our studios are right next door, and I've often wondered how you find that balance between what you do and what you really want people to hear. I know for you, it's not about being a superstar.
Nah, like, I don't really want to be.
It would be bad to get some of that money.
It would be bad to get some of that money, but I feel like it's coming. Like, yo, you know, people talk about seasons.
Yeah.
The season I'm in right now, and the way things are coming together, because I've had people come in and out of my life
Right.
under weird circumstances, you know, like rest in peace, my man Garnett Reed,
Right.
who a dope dude from Queens. Anybody who knows the business, was like one of the dopest record promoters out there. I brought him in on the team maybe last October.
Okay.
And we were working together. He was helping me curate my album. I brought him to the crib. He listened to everything. He's like, yo, this is dope. This is dope. Take this off. This needs to be on a video game soundtrack. Put this here. And he gave me dope, constructive criticism and be like, yo, man, people don't want to think that hard. Do this, do that, do that.
Right.
So he was helping me cultivate and curate the newest version of my album. And right before he passed, it was right before South by Southwest. He's like, yo, listen, man. Because like before I was like, I had him on retainer.
Okay.
And he's like, one of the last conversations we had is like, yo, man, I believe in what we're doing so much and what you're doing. Yo, I'm on a team. I ain't even charging you no more, fam. We're gonna do this shit.
Oh wow.
And like that meant a lot to me. That's because
amazing.
The conversations we had about hip hop and just how knowledgeable he was, it meant a lot to me. So when he passed away suddenly, I felt like Puff at the end of the No Way Out. The fuck I'm gonna do now? It's all fucked up now.
Yeah,
because there was a lot of things I would have questions about. Garnett would always have the answers to.
Right.
And I just didn't know what to do at that point because like I was really looking forward to playing him the newest version of the album. So there's a lot of his heart, soul, and spirit on my solo album based off of some of the things that we had talked about before he passed.
Okay.
And so when he passed, I'm trying to figure out, all right, cool, like what I'm gonna do now? Because like I just switched managers, so I met this new guy, Paul Lewis, and he's really helped me get a lot of my ideas that I've told other people about, but they didn't understand how to execute the ideas. He got that stuff cracking. Then I met this other guy named Jonathan Stevens, who was helping manage like specifically the music aspect of my career.
Right.
And everything is rolling smoothly. I started this other thing called the Live Comedy Mixtape, which shout out to you.
Thank you, sir.
for being a part, bro.
Did we have a ball?
Bro!
I love the Live Comedy Mixtape.
Oh.
That is absolutely something that you pursue a little bit further and take it out on the road and do whatever we need to do. I would love to be a part of it.
Bro,
it's so dope.
the ideas are so even bigger than what you're even aware of. We got to have an off-the-grid conversation. Okay. But when I saw what we saw that night, I was like, yo, this is the show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was involved. This is the show, and we're writing more sketches. And for everybody who doesn't know what the Live Comedy Mixtape is, it's Saturday Night Live to a beat.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Shout out to Michael Trapson too.
Michael Trapson from Philly.
Shout out to Michael Trapson. Y'all got to see this kid. Go YouTube and pick up Michael Trapson.
He Billy Jeans and he dabs.
Yeah, it's crazy. This shit is just crazy. It's amazing.
Man, what is when did hip hop become your passion?
I would have to say, I don't know. From the first time I heard it.
Do you remember what the first stuff was you heard?
I mean, like, when I think about my childhood, I think the first records I remember coming through my ears was like Jam on It.
Okay.
AJ.
Okay, AJ Scraps. Curtis Blow.
Yeah, man. Shaka Khan, I Feel For You.
Right.
Even though it wasn't considered a hip-hop record, but it was one of the first times you heard a hip-hop artist rock out on an R&B remix.
Right.
So that kind of stuck out in my head. And then when I saw Crush Groove for the first time, that was just like the final nail in the coffin. It's like, yo, the lifestyle. I'm about this and everything that comes with it.
How do you, because you work with Rickey Smiley on the Rickey Smiley Show, and y'all play contemporary hip hop or today's hip hop and R&B, how do you not judge it?
I've mastered the art of going into my own personal sunken place when we play the music on the radio, because at the end of the day, we hear the same songs day in, day out.
Right.
And even with you, like, playing classic hip hop, I would imagine there's certain songs that just comes to a point where it's like,
yeah, for real.
I've heard this, but some things just ain't for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people that we gravitate towards, whether it be Wu-Tang, Tribe Called Quest, Ghetto Boys, NWA, whatever. A lot of people we gravitated towards, they spoke to us because for where we were and who we were at that time of our lives.
Right.
So what you got to take in consideration, man, there are a lot of teenage and adult crack babies walking around right now. And this music, I think, caters to a lot of those people.
Right.
And some people, there's also been a conditioning that's happening at a corporate level where they've removed a lot of messages from music to where people ain't really just trying to heal that now. They're conditioned to just like eat the fat instead of the meat in the protein.
Right.
That's supposed to be with the audio meal you're supposed to get. So you know, it took a while to get it this way, but I think we could swing it back up because there are glimmers of of dopeness. I mean, from the Kendricks, the J. Coles, the people who are legit have something to say.
Rhapsody, 3D Nati, I think is so dope.
Nati is nasty.
Yeah.
I saw Rock live, man, at South by Southwest.
Right.
And I was a fan from the freestyles I heard her doing Sway, but when I saw Rock live, I'm like, yo, she the genuine article.
Yeah. That young lady right there is very, very special on that microphone, and she takes it seriously.
Very seriously. But what about you, though? Like, what was, like, the first record that you heard?
Oh, man.
Because you
it wasn't
Queens
record.
kid, right?
It wasn't record. It was those tapes. It was the tapes. It was those Cold Crush and the Fantastic Romantic 5 tapes. And what really was the catalyst for me is when that Busy Bee versus Kumo D tape came around.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard that, listen, Busy Bee, I don't mean to be bold, but take that ball, diddy ball bullshit back home. Yeah, it was like, oh, my God. Like, that was the first time I had ever heard somebody go directly at somebody. Because before that, it was all the routines, you know. It was the Furious 5, and they had their routines, and then the Cold Crush would come on and be, we are the Cold Crush. You know, we're better than you. But that was a direct blow, like, you ain't shit.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like, Busy Bee didn't see it coming.
Right.
At all. And, like, Busy Bee is my man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But, like, he was, like, the first person to be ambushed.
Right.
On cassette.
And still won the contest.
I thought Mo D ended up winning.
Well, yo, you have to let them both tell you that story. And there was another battle after that.
Okay, so
that wasn't put on tape that a lot of people don't know about.
What happened in the second battle?
I think Mo D actually. I'm not sure if I'm doing this revisionist history correctly, but I believe that Mo D got him in the second one though.
Okay.
Because Busy Bee was the chief rocker and the crowd's favorite.
He rocked the party.
He rocked the party.
Word.
So when Mo D came with them straight up rhymes, I don't think a lot of people knew how to handle it. And the funny thing about that was talking to Dougie Fresh was there at that battle.
Dougie Fresh was at the Battle of Valley Forge too. Like, he younger. I think he's what do they call it? A time lord. You ever watch Doctor Who? Like, yo, Dougie Fresh was everywhere.
Yeah, Dougie Fresh is amazing, man. So keeping with the theme of hip hop, and earlier we were talking about your album, doing what you do. How don't you get caught up in what's going on in comparison to what Headkrack wants to do?
I mean, at the end of the day, man, I know what I expect for myself, and I also know that I want to be able to stand by whatever I do years from now. Because there's some people who make records that imagine when they turn 50, when they turn 30-something, 45. Can you really stand by the records you made, you know, in your younger years?
Right.
So to me, it's important that, and I don't even put that much thought into doing it, but, like, I just try to rap like my fucking parents love me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm not saying that I'm making clean music because I'm not. Like, I talk about my life, my adventures, the parties I go to, the wild nights that I had that maybe I should have moved better.
Right.
You know, things that my friend did that could have got us all killed. But it's in such a way to where, yo, I could live by it because it's my truth. And, like, and if you built a movie or a biopic based off the stories I tell on, you know, in my albums as I continue to release more, I could probably be like, yeah, that was me at one point in time. This is who I am now.
Right. And because the difference, and hip hop is supposed to be your truth.
Yeah.
At that time.
Nobody can tell a better story than yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what hip hop is absolutely supposed to be. At a time now, I feel like where we're living in a place where people are not telling their truth.
Nah, not
like
at
they
all.
just fabricating shit to sound good at the time. And I really don't know how we got here, but I wish we would get out of here soon. And I think I don't disrespect them for having their time to shine. I think everybody needs to have their time. We had our time. I can't force an 18-year-old to love Big Daddy Kane the way I love Big Daddy Kane. They're going to definitely like something else. But I think it's the lack of balance that bothers me.
I agree with that.
You know, I think if we got just as much as J. Cole or Kendrick and Rhapsody and 3D Nati and Logic and all of them, if we got just as much as that on air as we did Future and Migos and
21 Savage.
Yeah, and 21 Savage and, you know, Lil Uzi Vert where all his friends are dead, you know, I think then I could live with it a little bit better.
Because I would say even if the tables was flipped and you heard like a Talib Kweli album every hour, you'd be like, God, dog.
Yeah.
I got knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like
I'm all knowledged out.
Yeah, I need some ratch. You know?
Yeah.
You know, and it's about presenting. The thing is, like, even when you look at the 90s, you know, NWA would have been considered like a 21 Savage.
Absolutely.
As far as just like the aggression.
They made records called She Swallowed It. It don't matter, just don't bite it. But does she suck a good dick? They did some ratchet shit.
But they would chase the NWA record with, you would hear Tribe, De La Kane, Boogie Down Productions.
Right.
It was so balanced.
It was my
back
philosophies and UNITYs from Queen Latifah along with Ghetto Bastard from Naughty by Nature.
Yeah.
So you got that balance. You got your knowledge from the brand Nubians, and you got your NWA, and you got your Too Short, where what's my favorite word? Bitch has always been his favorite word.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that balance, and I think when a lack of balance is in hip-hop right now, we don't get all of it.
Yeah, the
way we
used
used
to.
to.
Like, how do you feel about the celebration of drug culture in hip-hop?
I don't like it.
Because when you look at the old school narrative, they offer coke and lots of dope and we just leave it
Right.
alone. Even
Run
if they
DMC.
weren't telling their truth,
Right.
at the time. But at least the message was this,
Right.
And then now, like, all they do is try to sell you drugs on the records.
Right.
And you know what? I can honestly say that there are some people who psychologically can benefit from the use of certain drugs. But then when you push an agenda that you're not even 100% behind. Like somebody was telling me the other day, like, Future got the song, Mask Off,
Right.
Percocet, Molly Percocet.
Uh-huh.
Somebody was like, yeah, Future doesn't even do drugs.
Right.
He doesn't even drink lean. And it's
Wow.
like, but you're pushing this.
Right.
So people want to be like you because so many people out there are impressionable, don't have parents.
Right.
And now you're creating
That's the
a
thing that
society
bothers
of
me
drug
about
addicts.
it. It's the kids, it's the influential kids that get into it. We have an opioid problem in the United States right now.
Right.
And this is not helping it.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? And it's those impressionable kids. For us, Headkrack, you and I can differentiate. We're like, that's bullshit.
Right.
You know what I mean? I ain't doing that stupid shit. It just even doesn't make sense because Percocet is a downer and Molly is an upper, so it would kind of put you in the middle if you took both of them together. So it's just
Let me say you this heart attack.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So I just think that a lot of stuff, I always say gangster rap to a certain degree was that bastard that we let in the door and we thought it was going to stay for a little while, but it never left.
Right.
And it just kind of got worse and worse and worse. And then you had Night of the Living Bassheads from Public Enemy. You even had Dre saying, I don't smoke weed or cess because it's known to give a brother brain damage. And brain damage on the mic don't manage. Then he turned around and did an album called The Chronic.
Yeah.
About smoking weed. So,
Well, it was interesting because even like when you look at Run DMC, like on Here We Go, like Rum's like Cool Chief Rocker. I don't drink vodka. I keep a bag of Chiba inside my. Debatably, I don't really classify marijuana as a drug because there's some people who actually probably need to smoke weed and chill.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't either.
But it's crazy how the narratives change from year to year. But for some people, weed is something that enhances people's lives.
Yeah.
But there's some people who I've just watched weed destroy their lives, where like their whole life became
weed.
Surrounded around weed. I gotta smoke before I go do something.
Yeah.
And some of them are some of the most creative and reliable people I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched turn some people into sludges who get nothing done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything ain't for you, shorty.
That's right. You're absolutely right about that. As a hip hop head, do you often get asked about your top 5?
All the time. And like you can ask me on 5 different days and you'll get like 5 different variations of like the answer. Because like sometimes like you be like in certain seasons in your life.
Right.
And certain people's records mean more to you at a certain time than others.
And I always say you can't do it. And I think if you do it, you should do it by eras.
Right.
You can't just blanketly say there's a top 5 MCs of all time. I really don't believe that. And we still haven't based it on any criteria. We haven't found a real solid criteria or foundation to say that person has to meet all of these standards in order to be put into the top 5.
I've watched this debate cause wars on Facebook.
Yes.
I've seen people get unfriended.
Yes.
It gets very personal. And everything is like, territorial and regional too. Because if I lived in Baton Rouge, maybe Lil Boosie's in my top 5 all the time, and I think Nas is the worst rapper ever.
Yeah.
I'm from New York. Lil Boosie ain't even in my top 30.
Right.
It's just all about, relatability. Like, I don't relate to everything Lil Boosie says. I respect it, but I'm not from there, so he can't be in my top 5. So, like, you see people argue with other people from different coasts.
All over the place. That's been the barbershop talk forever. That's right up there with who's the best, Jay-Z, Biggie, or Nas. That's barbershop talk forever, and then you have some people say you can't put Biggie in your top 5 because not enough releases.
True. You know, he had the ability to not fall off.
Right.
In just enough time. But if you was to break it down from decade to decade, who would your top 5 80s be?
Ooh. See, I'm a lyric lover.
Okay.
So even without a hit record, I want to put him in there.
Go for it.
80s. Definitely Rakim is in there.
Okay.
Without the shadow of a doubt. Grandmaster Caz. LL's 80s, right?
Absolutely.
LL, definitely KRS-One, and probably Mo D, because to me, they were just the most lyrical 5 dudes.
That's a pretty solid list.
In the 80s.
That's a solid list. If I was to take my 80s list, L's definitely in there.
Definitely L is in it.
Do we separate Run DMC, or do we get 2 for 1 on them?
You can get 2 for 1 if you want to.
All right, I'm going to take the 2 for 1 on Run DMC, and this is in no particular order, so they're definitely in there. I'm going to have to go with Rakim. He was putting words together in just such a creative way that you couldn't knock the hustle. I'm also going to throw Slick Rick in there.
Yes.
Because no one was telling stories at that level.
Is he not one of the most influential rappers ever?
He might be like one of the most important rappers ever. Like, you know, when you talk about people who are kissing like the age of 50 in the mouth and beyond, and still has the ability to say something that I'm interested in hearing what you have to say, it's Slick Rick. Because his voice is so timeless, his delivery is so perfect that more so than ever, I want to hear what Slick Rick has to say right now. This is a brother who's been incarcerated.
Right.
This is a brother who's been
damn near deported. Yes.
This is a dude who has managed to keep his marriage afloat in the midst of all of this.
Yes.
And I think his worldview would be greater now than it would ever be, man.
Absolutely. And if you really think about his greatness and how much influence he has over a lot of artists, Slick Rick, you got to think about it. Slick Rick is working till this day off 1 album and 2 singles.
Yeah. And I'm such a nerd that I get mad when he don't do them weird-ass songs from albums. Like, man, this nigga didn't do Venus. He didn't do King. Fuck. You know, I like all Slick Rick singles, but it be them album cuts. Like, Mistakes of a Woman in Love with Other Men, Looking for a Love That's True, Runaway, Part 1 and 2 when he was doing the reggae.
Yeah.
Like Rick's
I got at him one time, man. I forgot where we were. I think we was in Pennsylvania. We were in Pennsylvania, and I got at him one time, and I was like, man, could you please just do Lick the Balls?
Just one time.
He did it that night.
He did?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, he started the show with Lick the Balls.
And the crazy thing about a lot of dudes from that era, like, you'd be shocked how many people don't even have all their instrumentals.
Right.
Like, there's some people who aren't even capable of doing the show that you want because, like, we interviewed LL Cool J one time, and I was like, yo, like, how long of an LL set do we got to sit through before you get to It Gets No Rougher? And he was like,
Dear Yvette.
I don't even know if I have that instrumental. You know?
Wow.
And it's just like, you know, there's so many joints, man, that you can pull from a lot of these artists.
Yeah.
But I think to round off my top 5, I hit you with Slick Rick, I hit you with Kane, Rakim, LL. Oh, yeah, Kane. If I didn't say Kane already, Kane. Kane's that dude.
Kane is absolutely that dude.
Smooth operate. He was ahead of his time. Kane was doing Drake shit in
You're right.
80s, 90s.
You're absolutely right.
We just weren't ready. We weren't ready to grow up.
Kane was the total package.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you why, because even more so than LL. When LL came out, L was the total package, but L lacked one thing.
What was that?
The entertainment value. L was good for prancing and what I would call stalking the stage back and forth and being L. Mm. And the ladies loved him. Mm. But Kane was just as good on the mic, right? And Kane could dance. And Kane's voice was amazing. Somebody's just always saying in order to be a superstar in hip-hop, dudes got to want to be you, women got to want to fuck you.
True.
And Kane brought that entertainment value where he was dancing and doing all that besides being extremely vicious on the microphone.
Yeah, and mysteriously got better
on
stage as time went by. Like, I've seen Kane rock big venues, and I'm talking about within the last 10 years.
Right.
I watched Kane rock big venues and just small pop-ups at clubs and kill it with the same ferocity.
Right.
Sometimes with dances, sometimes with no dances.
Right.
But it's just for people to take their craft that serious. And I tell this to artists all the time, man, like, you got to learn how to perform. Like, I've seen people who have platinum-selling singles who don't know how to rock.
Right.
And it frustrates me as an artist because, like, yo, like, if I had tunes as big as
Oh,
these
my God.
on the radio,
Oh, my God.
I'm going to obliterate this crowd, and I'm not going to, like, be staring down. Like, some of these people look like they're afraid.
Oh, my God. I say it all the time. You have to learn how. There is absolutely no way in this day and age right now, if I had the catalog that Drake has right now, that Drake ass wouldn't get served if he was on tour with me because I already know what to do.
I never seen a whole Drake performance.
He doesn't do anything.
Really?
Nah, this shit.
So kind of
here-
like the LL Cool J syndrome, because
Yeah.
like as big of an LL fan as I am, he has the stamina to rock through the joints, but like between every hook, say yeah.
Oh, it's
say
the same thing. Throw your L's in the air.
But for years,
For years.
though.
What
And
does Rakim to you mean to hip hop?
Rakim,
What did he do that was so amazing?
To me, the significant things about Rakim, I feel like, is he ushered that whole, 5% Nation, knowledge of self, consciousness era into hip hop. Like, it made cats curious. Like, yo, like he's moving different than other guys. He's saying things. And then people who were 5%ers at the time was picking up on the little jewels and gems that he was dropping.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it helped more people find knowledge of self.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just like in any religion, I've encountered good Muslims. I encountered bad Muslims.
absolutely.
Good 5%ers, bad 5%ers.
Good Christians and bad Christians.
Yeah, but, he definitely made, I think, people spiritually level up and lyrically level up because he was putting together patterns and just rhymes.
Yes.
And just, even to this day, like literally, when I was in middle school, my mornings began and ended with me listening to the Juice soundtrack.
Oh, wow.
Because Know the Ledge was just so hard body. And
Oh, my God. Is that still not one of the greatest songs, man?
yo, just the bass line come in right.
Right.
And like just living in New York around that time too, just with, like I was going to private school in New
Right.
York, and that shit was rough. And people thought, oh, you go to private school, kids are nice. No, it was just fucked up kids whose parents had money.
That's right.
So I had to get my mind right every morning just to deal with my environment. And I'm in the Bronx, Concourse Village. Crack is at an all-time high.
Yes, sir.
Niggas getting robbed for the triple fat goose coats.
All day.
Like, I have the most successful run of near robberies in probably Bronx. I've never been robbed, knock on wood, not sending an open invitation either,
Right.
but I have like, my third eye was just open to so many situations
Right.
as a kid, just because of the type of music I was listening to,
Wow.
the way I was moving. I always knew when the joke was about to go down, and I always kept it pushing and figured my way out.
Wow. And Rakim, man, gave us that slow flow. The slow flow was crazy. I always say Rakim birthed Biggie, Jay, and Nas, without the shadow
Oh,
of a
absolutely.
doubt. And to a certain degree, G-Rap. Okay? But Rakim on Juice Know the Ledge, rhymes are so amazing and vicious and vivid. You know what I mean? I sip the juice. I got enough to go around.
Yeah.
My thought takes place uptown. I grew up on the sidewalk while I learned street talk and then learned to hawk New York.
I go to Queens for Queens, get the boo from Brooklyn, get money in Manhattan, and never been took it, go uptown to the Bronx. Covered all 5 boroughs
Right.
real quick. And,
Right.
And then hit you with an unprecedented maybe 4 or 5 verses in that song.
Right.
Like there's been 2 notable times I'll be like, yo, it's 5 verses. Like
Right.
LL Cool J on Jack the Ripper, I think hit you with 5 verses.
Right.
I think Rakim gave you 4 or 5
I think
verses.
Rod gave you 4 or 5 verses. Read on my resume, she knows already cool.
Just meet me after school.
We can moan and groan until your moms come home, and you'll be calling me Aldo Capone. Wow.
Yeah. Questionably rapey, like when you look back on it, because I think
Yeah.
Rakim was like maybe 26 at the time.
Right.
And if you're picking up girls from school, like,
But he was
side-eye
giving
you.
it from the perspective of a young hustler.
The
You
characters
know what
from
I
the
mean?
movie, I guess.
Oh, man.
There was a line.
I take my gun off safety because a lot of niggas hate me. Come out of the building, they wet me up. Spray with automatics, they set me up. In a puddle of blood, I lay close to the edge. I guess I didn't know the ledge. Rakim is probably,
Brilliant.
he's very, very, very important. And to listen to him talk about, coming from a jazz background and his family and using his rhyme patterns the same way a jazz person would improvise changed the way hip-hop is done forever.
Indeed.
It really did. And I had sat in front of Marley, and when Marley did the first songs, Rakim rhymed sitting in a chair.
Oh, really? Like when he was putting his demo together?
When they were recording.
Well,
Eric B. and Marley Marl were roommates.
Okay.
It was supposed to be Eric B. and Freddie Fox.
Freddie Fox, and Freddie Fox like didn't show up or something, right?
Yeah, and somebody introduced him to Rakim. So when they was cutting it and Marley was producing it, when Marley did Rakim sat in the chair. Man. Marley was like, nah, man, you got to stand up and get hyped and you got to get into it. Marley said, Rakim said, nah, B, this how I do. And he sat in the chair.
And delivered a classic.
Check out my melody, light up a cigar. I'm letting knowledge be born and my neighbors the R, A-K-I-M. One of my favorite Rakim rhymes is still switch it around and still comes out R.
Yeah.
When he said that. And that made me think like, wait a minute. He's right. I'm the Ron and you switch it around and still come out R.
Yeah.
I'm the R, you switch it. I was like, man.
Thinking Man's rap at a time where people weren't really pushed. I mean, Melly Mel pushed you a lot.
Oh my God, Melly Mel pushed you. But Melly Mel was
visual.
Rapid fire, like this. Ross slowed that flow down.
And made it a little bit more comprehensible.
Exactly.
Because I don't even think people with Melly Mel was kicking just visually until years later. Like burning papers, blowing in the sand. The headline reads, "Man destroys man." That means whatever happened already happened.
Right.
And this is the debris that's left
Melly
over.
Mel,
This is brilliant.
Melly Mel is, if you go back to the 70s, and I have to include Melly Mel.
Yeah.
Melly Mel is definitely one of the greatest MCs ever.
Now,
Melly Mel gets props because nobody was rhyming that way.
Yeah. There was another song that was like, it wasn't a big record for them. Damn it. Was it on the first album? But it was like a big tune. And it was like lyrically, it had to be better than everything that came out that year. I wish I could think of the name of it, but it wasn't a single.
Yeah.
It was a B-side record that was a big tune. But yeah, Mel's that guy.
Well, you are definitely a student, man.
I'm a nerd, man.
And it's amazing that at a young age you have such a knowledge and appreciation of all of this stuff that came before you and all of the stuff that's going on right now.
I mean, you got to, like, when you care about your craft, whether it be acting, playing basketball, even radio.
Right.
You want to study the people that were great, even before your quote-unquote time. I get so mad when people be like, I should know Wu-Tang Clan. That's before my time. It's because you have the internet, asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know about George Washington, he was before your time. Do the knowledge.
You know about Martin Luther King Jr., he was before your time.
Do the knowledge.
Do the knowledge.
And, like, you don't have to buy an Encyclopedia Britannica set. You have the whole entire internet and YouTube and Wikipedia, even though you can edit that stuff on the fly. But you have the whole universe at your disposal. Just learn how we got to the point that we are now.
Since you love hip-hop so much, I'm going to ask you this before I let you go, and I appreciate you being here because you mentioned the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yes.
Give me your top 3 members of the Wu.
Top 3 members of the Wu is going to be Method Man, it's going to be Ghostface Killer, and it's going to be Old Dirty Bastard.
I knew you was going to say Ghostface.
That
Give me your
really
favorite
hard.
Ghostface album.
Favorite Ghostface album is going to be Supreme Clientele.
Goddamn right.
Because let me tell you, man, like, Shay Shayla Ghost.
It's fucking crazy, yo.
Is a party record that's so good.
Right.
It almost makes me cry when I hear it.
Right.
Because the connectivity is, I was a fan of the big Dr. Buzzard record that they sampled from.
Right.
So just this, and just the brilliance of the narrative that's going on in that story. In the Dr. Buzzard's version, Tommy Mottola lives on the road. He lost his lady 2 months ago. Like, he literally lost his lady, like, back in the 70s when he was touring with Dr. Buzzard because he was on the road with them so much. Fast forward, I don't know, 20-something years later, Tommy Mottola lives on the road. He lost his lady 2 months ago because Mariah just left him. Him and Mariah split up.
Right.
So the narrative became true again.
That's right.
And you took a classic that I just love so much and flipped it and made it dope, made it new. Perhaps might be my favorite You God verse featured on that song.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
Because, like, You God had, like, I don't know. I would never say You God is whack.
Right.
It's just, you are in the Justice League standing next to Superman and Flash and Green Lantern maybe dope in his own respect, but yo, that's Superman, that's Batman, that's Flash.
That's right.
You know, so sometimes he kind of gets lost in the sauce, but yo, You God was in pocket. Ghostface Killer freaked it. Who was that singing on the hook? Lakeitha was a Blue Raspberry.
Yeah.
Lakeitha killed the hook. Like, I love that record.
Oh my God, me too. And that Supreme Clientele album is absolutely
One?
Yes.
One? Like,
The
Only thing that could have made Supreme Clientele better if Daytona 500 was on it. Like, it's a classic by itself.
Yes.
But Daytona 500, if that was on there.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God. I would, man.
Yes, sir. Bro, you got to stop in periodically so we can talk hip-hop,
I'm all
bro.
about, we can do this shit all day.
My man. Y'all give it up, bro. Y'all know who that is. That's my man, Headkrack, man. And when's your album going to come out, brother?
Album's coming out. We're looking at dropping a single at the end of November.
Okay.
Black Friday, #Crack Friday, perhaps.
Okay.
That's going to be real fly. Also, be on the lookout for the live comedy mixtape tour coming to a city near you.
Yes, sir.
Also, check me out on my podcast, Headkrack After Hours. I got to bring you through, Ed.
Yeah, I would love to.
We can continue the conversation and
Okay.
cross-pollinate, man. So,
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the love, and thank you for all you have contributed
thank you,
to
man.
the culture, man.
Hey, man, as long as somebody recognizes me, I'm still here to contribute. I'm blessed. Can't complain. It's the Ed Lover. Come on, son. It's the podcast. Now get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. We love y'all. Peace. This Ed Lover podcast is being done in conjunction with Cigars International. Make sure you check out cigarsinternational.com for all your cigar needs.
This episode of Come On, Son, the podcast is produced and engineered by co-executive producers Kimana Paulus and Krista Hayes. Recorded at Mean Street Studios in downtown Atlanta, Georgia, this is an official Loudspeakers Network podcast. Network podcast. Network podcast. Network podcast. Network podcast. Network podcast.